The Battle of Naboo was the first major battle of the prequel era, and although it was flashy and bombastic, the entire battle was bogged down with terrible decisions by the good guys that would have led to certain defeat had it not been for a healthy dose of plot armor. I'm Zach from the Five Nights Tavern, and today we are going to examine what went wrong with the Battle of Naboo. Let's get started. The battle itself was split into three, technically four separate engagements that made up the greater battle. We have the Gungans fighting the main droid army in the plains, the Naboo Royal Guard fighting around and inside the palace, the Naboo Space Forces trying to destroy a droid control ship, and of course, there was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul. Now, for the sake of this video, I won't be talking about the lightsaber fight, as I don't really see a whole lot wrong with it. The whole thing was pretty excellent in my opinion. Let's start by taking a look at the space battle. Now, at first, it may seem like this entire battle was meant to be sort of an homage to Episode 4, with a hopelessly outmatched rebel force bravely rising up to meet a seemingly unstoppable enemy, but that comparison falls apart pretty quick under any kind of scrutiny. The Naboo fighters went up there with one objective: destroy the droid control ship and disable the droid army. Alright, simple enough. But how are they going to actually do that exactly? It's not like the control ship had some sort of easily exploitable weakness like the Death Star did. No, these fighters had no real plan at all on what to do. Even Qui-Gon mentioned this before the start of the battle.
A well-conceived plan. However, there's great risk. The weapons on your fighters may not penetrate the shields.
Call it bravery, call it foolishness, call it whatever you want. Those guys had no chance. And let's not forget the hundreds of droid fighters that they had to contend with. How many of them were there again? Like 20 or 30 Naboo fighters? Rushing that control ship doesn't sound like my idea of courage. More like suicide. The only reason they got away with it is because Anakin rocked up with some serious plot armor and bullshitted his way inside the ship, and with one final dose of plot armor, the Force, he gets a lucky torpedo hit on the ships, and just wins the day, single-handedly. Literally. Those other fighters had no effect on the outcome of the battle at all. It was just Anakin. Meanwhile, down on the planet, let's take a look at everyone's favorite species in Star Wars, the Gungans. Look, I know. Hating on the Gungans is a horse long since beaten. It may as well just be a generational rite of passage at this point, but for the sake of this video, I kinda have no choice but to talk about them. Now, in all fairness, their army did have a very important mission. Divert the main droid army away from the city of Theed so that the Queen and the rest of the allies can infiltrate the city and continue the battle. And once again, to give credit, the Gungan army did succeed with that, no problem. It's just when we look at literally anything else they did that we start to see just how bad this supposed grand army was. Let's start with the most damning piece of evidence that points to the incompetence of this army. Of all the Gungans who could have been chosen to lead this army, who did Boss Nass promote? Jar Jar fucking Binks. This bumbling buffoon who exists solely to serve as the punching bag of the Star Wars community was tasked with leading an entire army against the droids. It's when we think about this that everything else that I'm about to mention makes more sense. Now, the Gungans' main weapon of attack is something called the Booma. Basically, it's a water balloon that EMPs whatever it touches. Nothing too fancy, but decent enough against a droid army. The only caveat here is that most of the Gungan warriors seem to just throw them like baseballs or use basic slings or trebuchets. Okay, not necessarily a problem as long as the Gungans pick a smart spot to fight the droids. No, these imbeciles opt to fight at the bottom of a wide open grassy valley with literally no cover, and then proceed to get absolutely annihilated as the droids simply march at them with superior weapons and armor. Taking the droids in a straight fight was the worst possible decision they could have made. The whole point of a droid army is to overwhelm with superior numbers in kind of a large swarm. If the Gungans were smart, they would have set up shop in the swamps and baited the droids in. They could have then proceeded to engage them with hit-and-run tactics while delaying them and buying time. It's kind of weird that the Allies didn't think of this, right? Well, would you look at that? The Naboo forces are engaging the droids with hit-and-run style tactics. Seriously, seeing this makes no sense to me. The Naboo and the Gungans literally planned out this whole battle together, and you're telling me that no one, not one single person, thought to tell the Gungans about this kind of tactics. All rambling aside, The actual siege of Thebe Palace wasn't too bad of a fight. The surprise attack of the opening was an intelligent move, once again the whole hit and run thing, and made an opening for the queen and her forces to infiltrate the palace. Even the fight in the hangar wasn't all that bad, as the Naboo were basically forced into a straight fight to clear the hangar bay for the pilots to take off. But as if I hadn't already ragged on the pilots enough, what the hell are they doing just rushing through a battlefield to get to their ships? Seriously, they didn't even have blasters to help out. They were just running around getting shot for basically no reason. And given the whole manpower situation they had, this was just more unnecessarily wasteful casualties. Just wait in the back of the hangar, it didn't take them very long to clear it out anyway, and after that, get in your ships and head out for your suicide mission. I mean, your objective to take out the control ship. Whatever. After that, the queen and her forces do a pretty good job working their way through the palace to capture the viceroy. It's not really all that bad. I don't have many complaints. Honestly, I feel like they almost could have just forced a surrender without attacking the control ship at all. Viceroy Gunray is a coward. He's a really, really big coward, but that's just me thinking out loud with that. The battle itself was just a mess all around. Plot armor and fantastical stunts are the way for Star Wars, but what do you guys think about the Battle of Naboo? Did you enjoy it? Do you still enjoy it? What kind of nitpicks did you ever have? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to me ramble. I'm Zach from the Five Nights Tavern, and as always, cheers.